everybody. Welcome to the last week of school. I think my puppy wants to say, Doug wants to say goodbye to everybody. That's Clara. So yeah, welcome to the final week. We made it through the semester. I know it's been a long semester probably for you, and we've had a lot of material we've been covering. So I just want to thank you all so much, really, for your continued efforts throughout the semester and your contribution to the course discussions, really. You guys did a really great job. You were really invested in the material, and I really appreciated everything you guys posted throughout the semester. So thank you for that. I really also want to thank you for your feedback and comments throughout the semester regarding course material and maybe any technological or other hiccups we might have had. I really appreciate it, as again, this is a new thing for me. This finals week, you have no assigned discussion, but feel free to use the discussion board to pose questions regarding the final exam or any concluding thoughts you might have on the course. I'm going to be responding to your discussion posts if you have any, and I'm happy to answer any questions on the paper, on the final, on anything you might have. Also, feel free to email me, of course, as usual, any questions you have regarding anything. So your papers are due this Friday. I hope you're working on them. Let me know if you have any questions. I think it's pretty self-explanatory, in the assignment, what you have to do. Let's see. Your final is next week. I've attached the study guide. It's going to be available from December 7th until midnight at December 12th. You have 3.5 hours to finish it, which is going to be plenty of time for this one. As stated in the syllabus, the final is composed of questions for the first exam on chapters 1 through 10, so that'll be 50% of the exam. And then the other 50% will be questions from the new material from chapters 11 through 14. The second half's a little lighter, chapters 11 through 14. Just because there wasn't quite as much, crazy material in them. So for the first exam, chapters 1 through 10, I've streamlined slightly the study guide, focusing on topics and material that will be included in the final exam, kind of the important stuff. But as the questions are taken directly from exams 1 and 2, what I really recommend you doing is just simply returning to those exams and studying the questions that you might have answered incorrectly or those that you did not understand. So yeah, and then the second part, just like normal, it'll be questions associated with the topics on the study guide. So let me know if you have any questions with that. I think you guys will do fine, just like you always have. It's a lot of material, I know, but again, the best way to learn this stuff is just to go over it again and again. And I really want you guys to come out with this class as something. Having learned something about evolution. In the last sort of class, then, what we've been really focusing on are kind of the origins of modern humans, and then what, of course, is happening now and will happen in the future. So we've identified several trends in hominid evolution from our earliest ancestors to anatomically and behaviorally modern humans. And hopefully we've gained an understanding of our modern species both anatomically and behaviorally. So in terms of physical changes, we've seen that over time, certain morphological characteristics were selectively advantageous for our evolutionary line. These generally include changes in posture, cranial capacity, and facial angle. It was initially thought, that when people were first studying this, that our early ancestors would have large brains, but then bodies similar to chimps. And in the past century or so, research has shown that it was basically the opposite of that. So early on, the Ardipithecines and Australopithecines had really small cranial capacities, had those the size of probably modern chimps, or approximately modern chimps. Then there was a gradual increase in cranial capacity over time. And there was a marked increase at Homo erectus and another with archaic and modern humans. And during this time, it was not just the size, but the organization of the brain that changed over time. So humans have a really striking difference in the realm of cognition and linguistic expression from the living apes. And these modern human-specific cognitive and linguistic adaptations really appear to be correlated with the enlargement of the neocortex and other related structures in the brain. So again, not just the size, but also the structure or the organization of the brain. We've looked at how bipedalism appeared relatively early, so before big brains, and we've looked at the reasons for that. We noted that the early hominids were not really fully erect, that they were more facultative, like Artie, for example, you guys studied in depth, was adapted for life in the trees, but wasn't a habitual biped, or lived in trees and the ground, but not a habitual biped. This is based on pelvis, leg, and foot and cranial evidence. When we get to Homo erectus, however, you guys saw that it was this species, while quite variable, was a very efficient biped. In fact, probably more efficient at walking than we are, because their hips are actually less splayed, more kind of narrow and inward, so they can walk a little easier. They could have walked a little easier. We've looked also at the changes in the skull that have happened over time. So we've noticed that, for example, the dental changes. So we have a parabolic dental arcade, kind of comes like a splayed U shape, whereas our early ancestors like chimps have a parallel dental arcade. Our cheek teeth became smaller, our molars became smaller over time because of diet. We lost that honing canine pretty early on, indicating less aggression, male-male aggression, and increased pair bonding. There's a decrease in cranial crests and ridges, so these large chewing muscles that our early ancestors had, the Australopithecines. Sagittal crest, the zygomatic arches, the cheekbones that were really big, decreased in modern humans. The brow ridge decreases, the facial angle. So there's a trend towards this flat face that we have, rather than a face with a large mid-facial projection. We also have a chin, which is a modern development. We have a taller brain case, so our foreheads are more vertical, and our skulls and brain cases are rounder. Again, this is suggesting changes in the shape of the organization of the brain, changes in neocortex. We see reduced sexual dimorphism as time goes on, so this indicates increased pair bonding, monogamy, increased paternal investment. We have learned the differing models for the origins of modern Homo sapiens, so the out of Africa hypothesis, multi-regional continuity, and the assimilation models. And we've looked at the types of evidence that support these models. We've also looked at cultural evolution. So we've examined things like tools and tool use, controlled use of fire, manufacture of shelters and clothing, intentional burial, the appearance of art and other non-utilitarian products. The development of cooperative hunting behavior and domestication of plants and animals, and then settled agricultural societies. So it's this behavioral flexibility, our ability to develop culture and problem solve in these different environments, and learn and adapt, and then pass that information on to our offspring, that allowed us to have greater control over our environment, rather than be responsive to that environment. So that would have been like many of our predecessors that were responding to the environment. We were able to change things and adapt our behavior to fit shifting environments, especially in the Pleistocene. As you know, it's a very shifty time, climatically speaking. We've looked at how some of us have Neanderthal DNA and other unknown or relatively newly known species DNA in us. And we now know, because of DNA analyses, that the origin of modern humans is a lot more complicated than initially thought, but it's being sorted out with better science and more specimens, as more and more specimens are examined using ancient DNA analysis, as you guys learned in your articles. We know also the origins of behaviorally modern humans. So the development of art and artistic expression that happened during the Paleolithic, the changes in tool technology that happened during that time too, the refinement, the toolkit that we looked at, the Paleolithic toolkit with all the diverse tools. We looked at how the domestication of plants and animals led to the Neolithic Revolution, the rise of settled agricultural societies, and also physical changes in human populations. We know that the human species is really still evolving in many ways, in response to external forces like climate change and to internal pressures like technology and sanitation. So I really hope that in learning this, all of this material, this course has really helped you to understand the field of physical anthropology and the importance of this discipline in understanding our species and our world. I hope this course has demonstrated how science is done and how we use science to learn about the natural world. I hope it's given you some insight into who we are as humans, where we come from, why we look and act the way we do, and into our diversity and our evolution. As I said, this is my first online course, and I really welcome feedback from you guys. I want feedback from the students as to the parts of the course that worked and those that maybe didn't work so well, and maybe any suggestions you might have on how to improve certain aspects. I really try to be flexible and listen to your concerns throughout the semester. I really hope you found the course accessible and fun and interesting. Let me know in your reviews what you think might be adapted or changed for this class in the future. It's been really challenging for me, but also fun to adapt the material to an online course. So I really want to thank you for all your patience and your efforts and your participation. It's been a great semester. And just email me with any questions or concerns you have. Please also take a look at all the grades that are posted to make sure those are all correct, or if you have any questions about them, do that sooner than later so we can address any problems you see. All right, well, thanks so much, guys. Good luck with all finals.